absolute chaos, but the Miami Dolphins escape with an overtime victory over the Washington Commanders. The first ever game in Spain from the NFL is a doozy. Miami wins in walk-off fashion, 16-13. There's a lot to discuss here. Some boneheaded decisions by the coaching staff, some elite plays on offense as well as some defense. But one thing is true, and one thing is objectively correct. It's the Dolphins won this game. So show your excitement and get those W's in the chat. Let them fly, baby. Let them fly. Get the W's in the chat right now. We're going to start with the positives, and then we'll get to the negatives, because I have a lot of negative things to say about our head coach. But I do want to show some major love to the reasons why we won this game. I think the number one reason is Devon Achane is a top 5 running back in football, and without a question, the best player on this team. He had 165 scrimmage yards a week after dominating the Buffalo Bills and showcasing to the entire league, yeah, he is like that. And he is just so dynamic with the ball in his hands. Coop, there was 2 plays this game where he should have lost 5 to 7 yards, but made a couple people miss and ultimately turned it into a positive game. One of the biggest ones was on the touchdown drive that originally tied the game at 13 in the fourth quarter. They do a pitch pass to Achane. He gets ran back by 7 yards, makes a man miss, just stays in bounds, and then cuts up field for a 9-yard game. It was a 16-yard swing and ultimately allowed Miami to get into scoring position where they did end up tying the game with a touchdown run with Ollie Gordon. But then he did it again on another toss. Like, he's just phenomenal. And it's going to be fascinating to see what ultimately happens with Devon Achane long term. Why do I say that? Well, Achane has 1 year left on his contract. Next year at $1.6 million. New regime coming in. Will they ultimately extend him and pay him $15+ million a year? Or will they trade him at his highest value this offseason? I know it's not really fun to talk about that right now, but I do want to keep that on the back burner of people's minds, that tough decision ahead of us here with Devon Achane, because as a rebuilding team, are you paying $16 million to running back? I don't know, but boy, he definitely does deserve it. Shout out Devon Achane. I think there's some other positives to go around here. I think the offensive line was really good today. I mean, there was a couple run plays in short yard situations that ultimately did not succeed, unfortunately. But in the middle of the football field, they dominated. Like, we showed Devon Achane. He ran for 120 yards. Miami as a team had 31 carries for 169 yards. That's 5.5 yards a tote. Ollie Gordon had 9 carries for 45 yards and a score. Like, the team was just able to effectively run the football pretty consistently. And that is how the Dolphins win. I know they only scored 16 points against a bottom defense in the NFL, but their ability to run the ball consistently and set up their passing game and screen game allows them to have a more well-balanced, layered offense, which is what you've seen over the past month. And Miami now, winners of 3 of their last 4 games in back-to-back games. They beat the Falcons 4 weeks ago. Then they lost to the Ravens, a team that they outplayed in the first half but shot themselves in the foot with turnovers. And then they've won back-to-back games against the Commanders and Bills. So I feel like Miami is really finding its identity offensively, and that is leaning on the run game and then trying to make plays in the passing game outside of that and off of that. And we saw that with Jayen Waddle, a couple of play-action deep balls. Waddle had a 31-yard completion, 15-yard one. Like, you really like what you've seen from that play-action game. So I'm pretty happy with how the offensive line is progressing. I'll have to see the tape again on Jonah Savignaya and how he played, but Brewer was great. Patrick Paul was phenomenal. And Larry Borom continues to show that he's like a fine offensive lineman. Like, I was critical of him beginning, but the last 5 weeks of the year, Larry Borom's been really good. Yeah, he has. So, yeah, offensive line was great. We're going to get to the defense here in a second, but let me know, who is the MVP of today's win for the Fins? I'm in between Achane and Jack Jones. And we'll get to Jack Jones here. But those are my two. Let me know your thoughts. And the reason why I say Jack Jones is because if you weren't able to watch the game goes to overtime. Miami defers after winning the toss, which is the right decision since both teams get the ball in overtime. And the first play of OT, Marcus Mariota in the pocket, tries to throw it over the middle of the field to Zach Ertz, and Jack Jones just undercuts it and gets the INT, which sets Miami up in a beautiful spot to kick a game-winning field goal and win this game 16-13. Jack Jones is continuing to improve, I think, every week. And sure, there are some bad plays, and you have to live with some bad decisions. But I think for the most part this season, Jack Jones has been a pretty solid pickup since you signed him the first week of free agency, trading camp in July. So I like what Jack Jones has provided the table, and you'll hopefully maybe retain him long term and see if you can ultimately have him as a CB2, CB3 going forward, because I think he's proven he's able to do that if you have a pretty solid CB1. But other big players defensively, I mean, the interior defensive line has really started to improve. I mean, Kenneth Grant, Jordan Phillips, Zeke Biggers, he was good today as well. And we'll highlight some more of them here in just 1 second. But this episode of Dolphins Today is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day. It's great to be right. That never gets old, and you can be right and get paid for it over on Prize Picks. So keep the season rolling. Just pick more or less than at least 2 player stats if you get your picks right. You could cash in. How you play is up to you. You want flexibility, choose the flex play. You want to get the most payout? Use the power play. No matter your play, Prize Picks are great to put your takes to the test. And it feels good to be right, Coop. It does. And more than Devon Achane receiving yards, get 45. Cash. More than Marcus Mariota interception, I'll take those. Thank you. Cash. Tua, less than 31 pass attempts, finish with 20. Cash. 3-player entry. Bang. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, before we move on here to Mike McDaniel and Tua as well, I do want to highlight that interior defensive line. The run defense wasn't great today. Let me do some quick math here. You allowed 172 yards on 33 carries. That's 52 point yards per touch. But Marcus Mariota had a 44-yard scramble. So if you take away that, they would be at 32 carries for 128 yards. So 128 divided by 32 is 4 yards per carry. I'll live with that. In that Marcus Mariota 44-yard run was off a scramble on 3rd and 9. It wasn't even a designed run. So I think the run defense has really improved. Yeah, Chris Rodriguez had a pretty solid day on the ground, 79 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. But I think the overarching thing there is that this trio of the interior, Zeke Biggers, Jordan Phillips, and Kenneth Grant playing great. On the first drive of the game defensively, Kenneth Grant had an excellent rep where he did a quick swing move on 3rd and 1. The right guard, I think his name's Chris Paul, just whiffed on the block. And Kenneth Grant makes this tackle for a loss of half a yard. I mean, that's the type of stuff that you love to see, and it's why Miami drafted him 13th overall. So the continued improvement and development of these young interior defensive linemen, great. You even saw Chop Robinson make a big-time play where you almost forced a safety on Marcus Mariota, but he was able to quickly get it away. So yeah, I mean, I'm really impressed with what Miami and their defensive linemen have been able to do as the season has progressed. All right, we're going to talk Mike McDaniel and Tua here, but I just want you guys to hit that sub button. Nonstop Dolphins videos all year long. Join the channel. Join the Dolphins Today family. Live for every game. We'll be live tomorrow. We have videos every single day. All right, let's talk about McDaniel. He still fucking sucks. Let's just be honest here. He's not good. The Dolphins need a legit good head coach. And he is not that. What happened on the first drive of the game? You had 2 procedural issues. Forced Miami to call a timeout because they didn't have the play in time and ready to go. And then they had to delay a game on 4th and 1, which forced them to settle for a field goal rather than pick up the first down potentially and really go up with a touchdown early in the game. But then you have the last 3 minutes of the game. And this is the sequence that everyone's going to talk about, so I'll give you my thoughts on it. You get down in the red zone. You get inside the 10. Obviously, a touchdown is everything there. You don't want to kick a field goal and give them the ball with 1:10 left because they're probably going to get in field goal range. And you get down to the 1, 3rd and goal at the 1, 2-minute warning. What's the play call out of a timeout? It's a zone stretch out of the pistol. Why the fuck are you doing that? Running out of the pistol is the dumbest thing that I have ever seen. Seriously. It's third and goal from the run. Get your 6'2", 225 back, Ollie Gordon, in the game for 2 straight runs up the middle, and I'm going to be willing to bet that he gets in one of the 2 times. But then you go for it on 4th and goal from the 1, and Ollie Gordon gets stuffed for a loss of 1. And you end up giving the ball back to Washington, tied at 13 with 1:40 to go. I'll be very open about this, and I know a lot of people on Dolphins Twitter and our live chat said it was very dumb for the Dolphins to go for it. I do not hate going for it. I don't. Because to me, you can't trust your defense to get a stop if they start with the ball at the 35-yard line. And they're probably going to force OT. And then if you get it, you're up 7 with 1:40 to go. If you don't get it, you ultimately trust your defense and not give up 60 yards in 1:30 with no timeouts for Washington. Now, they did give up 60 yards in 1:30, but that was also because Mike McDaniel was calling 2 timeouts trying to get the ball back, which I thought was a dumber decision than going for it on 4th and goal, because it's like, dude, they're moving down the field. Why are you calling timeouts to give themselves time to collect their thoughts? Ultimately, Matt Gay pushed a 56-yard field goal. You went to OT, and you got the win. But I think Mike McDaniel going pistol on 3rd and goal from the 1 is the dumbest thing of all time. And I still think, even though Miami is winners of their 3 of the last 4 in back-to-back games, it's obvious that this guy cannot be a head coach for a winning, successful football team. There's too many procedural mistakes, too many dumb clock management decisions, and too many bad decisions calling plays as well. That's my biggest takeaway from this game, if you want to be honest. I don't care about the win. It was nice to get the win. My biggest issue and takeaway was that this guy's a clown, and it doesn't really have the ability to be that lead head coach for your team. Let's also talk about Tua, because this team did not win because of Tua. They did not win in spite of Tua. Tua was just there. He was a bus driver today for the Miami Dolphins. I know Josh Allen just had the worst interception I've ever seen. I know this is a video, but what is he doing? Sorry for our VOD audience. That was brain dead stuff by Josh Allen. He might be cooked. All right, back to the real task at hand. His inability to create, inability to create out of structure holds this football team back. Anytime the opposing team generates pressure, it's over. Tua can't make plays out of the pocket. He's not that good maneuvering inside the pocket, because anytime he feels the pocket collapsing, he gets happy feet and gets panicky and either just sacks or just like moving his head around looking for where the guy's going to hit him from. I mean, I just don't think that this guy can be a winning football quarterback. I really don't. And it's unfortunate to see. I think he's cooked. I think he's washed, if you will. The injuries might have done it to him. But I just don't forecast this guy being a QB1 for a winning football team going forward. And I'm sorry if you're a Tua fan, but you just watch this game and you're like, this guy can't be the guy. He can't. The Dolphins won because the Commanders made a couple mistakes. I mean, the muff punt, for example. Like, the Dolphins didn't play good enough to win this game against the backup quarterback and the second worst defense in football. But they were able to get the win because the Commanders might be more incompetent than Miami is. All right, we're going to get out of here on this episode, but quickly did want to mention some injury news. Juju Brents left this game late with an ankle injury and did not return. Do have a bye week next week, but Rasul Douglas likely will be back. So I don't know how that injury is with Juju Brents. We'll have you updated for sure. You also had Jordan Colbert leave with an injury. Stinger, special teams, not that big of a deal. Devon Achane got hurt in the fourth quarter with a back injury, but was there in overtime. So don't really think anything serious for our guy, Devon Achane, which is good. But we'll also have more updates on that. So make sure you subscribe, because we'll continue to bring you daily content on the Miami Dolphins.